Yes, hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video. And in today's video, I'm going to be predicting the Lepage-Joanisse versus Vidal fight. If you are new around here though, and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like video if you do indeed like video, and let's get straight into it. So, going into this fight, Lepage-Joanisse, sorry if I'm getting any pronunciation wrong, is 6-1 with 2 KOs, and Vidal is 10-1 with 4 KOs. This fight is for the vacant WBC World Heavyweight title. Lepage-Joannisse's last fight was a win via unanimous decision versus Nagy, and Vidal's last fight was a win via unanimous decision versus Salafia back in 2022. This is in Lepage-Joannisse's home country of Canada. And to speak about what I've just said, obviously this for the vacant title. I'm not entirely sure who is the one that vacated it, to be honest, but I believe it got vacated in 2022. Might have been Gabriel's that vacated it, but I believe it was 2022 when it got vacated, and now it's back getting fought for again. And somebody in Lepage-Joanisse who is an entertaining entity to have in the heavyweight division, and Vidal moving up into the heavyweight division after, like I mentioned, having over a year and a bit off now. They're both coming in for step ups here. I mean, Vidal's probably had the tougher fights in the past, arguably that of the Gabriel's fight, which he did lose. But they both had a loss in their record. They've both been moving up into this way. They're both now coming to fight for a world title, and it's an entertaining one. Like I say, Lepage-Joannisse's fighting in their home country of Canada, and overall, I think it's a good card. And to speak about another fight on this card, the, I believe, main event of this card, not the one I'm talking about, but the main event on this card is Iglesias versus Coqueres, in which I think Iglesias will win via TKO in round 6. Iglesias is obviously the IBO World Super Middleweight Champion, and he's fighting with not for the title in this, from what I believe, but it's a good fight. Coqueres has fought some of the top fighters in the division. He's fought the likes of Bazinian, I believe Berlanga as well, coming off the loss to Pacheco. Obviously, he's lost all of them, but he's shown tough tests at points and shown that he can fight at a top level. And even if he is getting beat quite badly, he's still willing to fight at that top level. And I think for Iglesias, it's a nice step up. It's nice moving up, but I think he's going to be way too much for Coqueres, and his aggressive style and his front foot type style with the nice shots that he puts together, he's, I believe, going to be able to get him out. And with the power that he does possess, I think he'll be able to get him out as well. And then hopefully at that point, beating somebody like Coqueres will boost you along, and will progress you along. And it's nice to see him fighting out of a different country and getting more opportunities. And yeah, like I say, an entertaining card as a whole. And to go back to this fight which I'm talking about, Lepage-Joanisse as a fighter, she's a front foot fighter. She's got a good solid jab. She's aggressive. I mean, I seen somebody compare her to that of the heavyweight female Mike Tyson. Definitely wouldn't go that far. But either way, she's definitely aggressive and definitely wants to be on the front foot and will walk you down with solid shot variation. And so, there's definite things about there where I suppose you could argue to an extent that there's similar attributes to that of Tyson, but obviously that there is levels, of course. And Lepage-Joanisse will impose her size. She can fight at that of a mid or an in close range with, like I say, a solid jab, which she does utilise quite a lot. It can help at that of a mid range, but like I say, fight at a close range as well. She most definitely just overwhelm her opponents with her pressure, and she did that versus Nagy. She was just constantly overwhelming. I mean, she does get caught with shots. She most definitely does get caught with counters when she is coming in and just pretty much walking in. But at the end of the day, she is overwhelming you, landing the better, more higher output shots, which when she's firing at such a high output and like I say, overwhelming, she's gonna be landing the better shots overall and landing the more shots overall. She brings the power up in her shots. So when she she seems to kind of do that thing where you duck down and then come up and have like an explosive little output in shots, and she does that relatively well at times. Sometimes it can be seen as a little bit messy, but she most definitely possesses a lot of power when she does that, and definitely, like I say, brings her power up when she does that in her shots. The negatives about her, I mean, similar to that of Vidal, minimal defensive movement from both, and I think this is definitely going to be an in the centre of the ring type fight, and I suppose that will make it entertaining. Two girls are just going to be firing back and forth, and it'd be interesting to see who is the winning one to go on the back foot when they do both impose their size quite well, and like I say, don't really have too much defensive movement, who's going to be the one to do it? They're both, relatively slow. There's not really too much speed going between the two of them, but it's fair enough. I mean, it's difficult even in you see in top world level heavyweights. There's not necessarily crazy amount of speeds unless you're looking at the likes of like Usyk or AJ at times. There's not really crazy amounts of speed a lot of the time, and you can still get to the top level and fight well without it. It's just how you use your timing and stuff like that. She is open to counters, like I say. She very much lunges in with her shots, and with her combination, she can lunge in. Same with that Vidal when they think they have you hurt, or even if they just want to put on a aggressive kind of front foot type flurry of shots, they'll just lean forwards, keep their chin in the air, and just kind of punch forwards, and hope that you go on the back foot. And it's imposing their size, like I say, but technically it's not really the best. Quite heavy footed she can be at times. She is open when coming in. She's been stopped in the past. I think she has learned from that stoppage, and it was a little while ago, but she has been stopped in the past. I haven't really actually managed to see the footage of that, but it's there. It's there. Accuracy can sometimes not be amazing at times. She can headhunt a little bit. When she does put together a nice solid shot variation, she's got it there. She can go to the body. She can shoot solid uppercuts, but there is points where she is headhunting a bit, and I think she did do that a little bit in her last fight, and she does cross her feet quite a bit as well, and that can stop things like balance and stuff like that, and unless you're really explosive on your feet, like I say, it can stop balance a little bit and make it a little bit tough to move around. Vidal as a fighter, I mean, I spoke a little bit about her already, but there's positives about her. She's got a physical presence as well. She's definitely, like I say, gonna be there, wanting to be in the centre of the ring as well. I believe she can fight probably better on the back foot than that of Lepage-Joanisse, but she also fights well on the front foot as well. So she's got that variation there. She's got a tight guard, so that tighter than that of Lepage-Joanisse, and she's got decent straight shots as well. Probably, the better combinations of the straight shots. She's quite powerful in her flurries when she does, throw her flurries. Like I say, she imposes her size with them, and they can be a little bit messy at times, but that's where a lot of her power comes from. She can be aggressive. She's relatively composed though. When she is on the back foot, she looks relatively composed and doesn't really look like she's too out of her depth on the back foot. I mean, her chin can be up in the air a bit, but, relatively composed, will throw to the body, will throw the occasional uppercut in close as well. She moves her opponents well. That's when I also mean well on the back foot. The way that she can just, adjust her opponents when they're on the front foot to then, flip it. So she's now on the front foot, if that makes sense. She moves her opponents quite well, and she builds confidence throughout the fight. I think she improves very much throughout the fight. She did that in her last fight. She looked impressive into the later rounds in them last fights. I mean, she managed to get knocked down in the later rounds, and so there's definitely things that you can see that she builds confidence. And by the later rounds, it was turned into quite an entertaining fight. And so like I've mentioned, I feel like this will be that. Negatives about her, I mean, this is her first time fighting at heavyweight. She fought at light heavyweight, and you don't want to say too much, but she did look quite big for that weight. And so now with over a year and a half out, how has she managed to physically move up into heavyweight, and how's that transition been? She has been fighting. She has fought some of her best fights at that super welterweight, and so it's been a little while since we've seen her at a high weight, and I suppose heavyweight. Like I mentioned, it's a fight which we haven't a weight which we haven't seen her at yet, and so that'll be interesting to see how that goes. She can walk onto straight shots, like I mentioned. She has her chin in the air. Her accuracy with her hooks isn't especially impressive. She hasn't got amazingly good timing. Like I say, she's quite slow. She's got a lower output out of the two, and so I feel like Lepage-Joanisse might be able to outpoint her in that, but it's just down to who lands the cleaner shots, I suppose, and who's willing to like I mentioned, be on the back foot. She's got, like I say, the defensive movement ain't always there. Sometimes she can seem a little bit lazy defensively at times. She likes that of a slower pace, and I don't know if Lepage-Joanisse will allow that slower pace to let Vidal get into a rhythm. Lepage-Joanisse is the favourite for this fight, and I think that Lepage-Joanisse will win via unanimous decision. I think, like I mentioned, she's going to be the one that's going to be throwing the more. She's going to be on the front foot, I believe. I think she's going to be able to physically impose herself, but I think it's going to take a lot because Vidal is a big presence in there, and I think she's in the end going to be able to throw the more shots, possibly overwhelm her with the pressure, and I don't believe that Vidal's going to like it, especially as Lepage-Joanisse can be quite a quick starter, and Vidal can possibly be a little bit hesitant at times. and unless she walks onto a shot, which I mean it could happen, but I'm not entirely sure it will. It depends how well the shot's timed, which, like I say, Vidal's timing isn't always amazing. I believe, like I say, Lepage-Joanisse will be able to win it via unanimous decision. Of course, it's going the 10-round distance. I believe it's be the first time, if it does go to a decision, that both fighters will have gone to the 10-round distance. So it will be interesting to see how both of them deal with that. And then who she could go on to fight next? I mean, Daniels, the IBF champion at the moment, she's seemingly kind of clearing up most of the top contenders. When I say top contenders, there isn't really loads about. But IBF champion, that would probably be the biggest fight to make in the division at the moment. Miller is somebody who's fought at cruiserweight, and she's 39 years old, but she's also coming off 2 first-round stoppages, and so there's a possible fight to be made there if she's willing to move up into heavyweight. Or something like Oluwole is a contender, I suppose. She's a bit of an unknown fighter. She's from Africa. She hasn't really fought outside of, I believe, Nigeria, and so she's 9-0 though. So there's definitely a fight that could be made there, I suppose, as well. So a couple options. Like I mentioned, pretty much every time that I do a heavyweight female title fight prediction, there needs to be that of a fighter to come up and make things a bit interesting. And there's possibilities of a couple fights there, like I mentioned, and so we'll have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like the video if you did, and you like the video, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.